Hello and welcome. Thank you all for being here today. I'm Nick Kanoki, the Director of Technology for the Asset Leadership Network, and I'm very excited to talk with Dominic Townsend, President of ABS Quality Evaluations, and Art Kurland, Director of Capital and Asset Management at University Health. Mike Bordenero, Executive Director for the ALN, will be leading this session. But before we get into that, we just want to thank our patron members, especially ABS Quality Evaluations, and also other organizational members, including the Andrew James Advisory Group and, of course, University Health. These organizations make what we do possible here at the ALN. And we want to highlight the Andrew James Advisory Group. They are doing another A55K professional certification course starting October 24th. And so if you or anyone at your organization is interested in learning more about asset management, this could be for you. So reach out to anyone here at the ALN or at the Andrew James Advisory Group for more information on that. And with that, I will just do one final plug for our event upcoming September 16th, Culture of Value, Sustainable Infrastructure. And that will be at the National Academy of Sciences in Washington, D.C., an in-person event. So I know we're all looking forward to getting back to those. So please see us there and register on our website. And with that, I will hand it off to Mike Bordenero.
Thank you, Nick. And yes, it's exciting. It's back to school time. So in-person event is something to look forward to. And then that Andrew James Advisory course is very good. I recommend it for teams of people who are interested in starting their asset management journey together, your internal team and your consultants. It's very well laid out. And speaking of getting back together in person, we've got Art and Dominic with us because they're going to be at our event on September 16th. Art is the Director of Capital and Asset Management at University Health, and Dominic is the President of ABS Quality Evaluations. And Art started the University Health on their ISO 55001 certification journey. We're going to have him talk about that. He's also speaking in just a few weeks at the, let me get this right. It's the Association of Healthcare and Internal Auditors annual conference in Miami. Too bad you got to go to Miami. Should be nice. And that's the directors of auditing organizations at healthcare, and Art's going to be spreading the word there. And that's part of what our event is about, is power from associations. It's not just one association that helps you achieve your organizational goals. It's involvement in many organizations. So Art, thanks for bridging us with that. And then Dominic has the company that is certifying Art Kurland, actually recertified University Health, and they'll use the National Academies as a forum for making that recertification ceremony presentation. And we look forward to that on September 16th. But we thought we'd give them some time now to talk a little bit more about the certification process to ISO 55000, why to do it, what the value it brings an organization, and some of the details of what happens in a certification so other organizations can understand how to benefit from this. So Art, it starts with you. We've had you on before, so we've got more detailed recordings about your process, but can you give us a quick overview of why you got started in ISO 55001 certification?
Well, I think I've been following the ISO standard since the early days when it was a draft. And so when I got the opportunity to come work at University Health, I saw really the perfect opportunity to become I wanted to become the world's first organization to become certified to the ISO standard. That was my goal. And I think the stars aligned because the organization, the hospital, is used to certifications. You just need to go to our universityhealth.com to see how many certifications we have. So when I approached leadership about achieving a certification, of course, there's some more detail to it, but they encouraged it. So it was something that I had been looking forward to for a long, long time during, like I said, the early days of the draft.
Okay. So Art, you clearly love what you're doing.
Yeah.
What is it that you love about what you do?
I just love that it's just something new every day. And oftentimes it leads to uncovering opportunities to just make improvements. And it's just such a good feeling that comes along with knowing that we as a department in asset management are contributing to the overall quality of university health and the community as a whole.
So Dominic, you've got a good view of ISO 55001 certification from a global perspective. How do you see university health in this context?
Well, as Art indicated, and Art was probably the first client that I went to go see that was launching an ISO 55000 program. And to be in the healthcare community that's very focused on asset management, making sure that equipment is properly maintained, running, has a big impact on people's lives. So knowing that Art has taken the initiative to drive this forward was really exciting for us and the healthcare community. Asset management, around the world, it's starting to grow. It's very popular, and it's really about a commitment of organizations to ensure that their assets are properly maintained and that whatever industry that they're operating in is going to be effective. And if there are any shutdowns or things that might impact them, that they're able to manage those situations and get back up and running at a fairly quick time period.
Yeah, the ability to improve caring for people is really clearly a wonderful thing. But Dominic, you are involved in other organizations other than healthcare. You love what you're doing too. You bring in excitement to the board of directors, the ALN board of directors. So we appreciate that. And what is it that you love about what you're doing?
Well, I love getting up in the morning and making a difference in people's lives and the communities that we serve around the world. We ABS Quality Evaluations, as a business assurance organization, we assess companies, institutions, industries to deliver exceptional services and or products, which makes a difference in those communities. And it's all about trust, and you've heard me say that quite a bit during a lot of my discussions. And with the University of Healthcare or other industries that we're operating in, them being a leader, focused in healthcare, focusing on the neighborhoods that they operate in, we get to partner with them, making a difference in people's lives and the healthcare that they receive. So it's, to me, I get very excited getting up in the morning and make a difference in our people around the world that I get to lead and the communities that we serve.
Okay, Art, can you tell us a little bit about the difference between the certification and recertification, and if there's opportunity in this recertification to do the improvement and maybe get more certified? How is that working for you?
Yeah, so absolutely. So the certification lasts for 3 years. There's annual surveillance audits, but on the third year, it requires a full-blown audit. And so that's the recertification process. It's almost the same as the initial certification. It's just a lot more in depth than an observation. And so there comes an opportunity to kind of expand the scope of certification. One of the blessings of the standard is that you can sort of set your own scope of your asset management system. And so there's an opportunity to, or at least we felt that there was an opportunity to expand the scope of our certification from actually to a full life cycle of personal property, whereas our initial certification was just for the acquisition, delivery, and disposal of assets, just those three specific life cycle activities or phases. And so from the time that that occurred to the recertification, we had the chance to solidify our processes for all the other life cycle activities, the inventory, the storage, the returns and exchanges and things of that nature. So we expanded the scope of our certification. And so when we recertified, it was to those expanded standards.
So before we go to Dominic, can you explain a little bit about what's involved in expanding to the other parts of the life cycle? What's involved? Are more departments involved, or are people filling out more forms? What's the?
It can be, yes. And in our case, it was. So like I said, the initial certification was in 3 life cycle activities. And we, as a department, had a lot of control over those life cycle activities. So it wasn't as challenging as the remaining life cycle activities. So during the time of initial certification to the recertification, we had spent time talking with, other departments, explaining what we were doing, why it was a benefit to the health system, why it would not impact what they were doing on a day-to-day basis. And so just getting that buy-in and then putting our processes into place and refining them, having them audited internally, and just being prepared for the recertification process.
Okay, thanks. So Dominic, one of the things that Art said was that the beauty of ISO 55000, actually ISO standards in general, is the ability to set your own level. Do you think organizations understand that? People seem intimidated by it. Is there a way to explain the ability to eat the elephant one bite at, or the apple one bite at a time?
Yeah, it depends on the organization, and they all operate very differently. Some organizations want to start off with the department or a process, and the great thing about the standards are that you could expand your scope of activity, expand the footprint, depending on how you see your rollout as an organization. One of the things that is very important is not only management commitment, but also the culture that you're building within the organization, and really making sure that the organization understands that it's not all about meeting a standard, but you want the standard to work for you, and making sure that the operating activities that you have within the organization are built around trying to drive improvement within the group, understanding how that standard can help you get there, but really making sure that your processes, procedures, paperwork, training of people, all aligned to what you do. And your gut tells you, how to operate as an organization, but it's really about driving continual improvement within your activities, whether it's across departments, service lines, geographically, and that's really the focus of it. And I do believe that once organizational culture sees and lives and breathes by it, there's a lot of tangible benefits as an organization.
Art, can you address that? How have you seen the culture benefiting?
Well, like I said before, it takes really the whole organization, the wider your scope becomes. And so that really helps to lower the departmental silos that exist in so many large organizations. Like I said, at a hospital, certification is kind of comes with the territory. And so here at University Health, nobody wanted to be the reason why we didn't achieve certification. So cooperation was, and sometimes it got a little tense, but that was just a learning curve. on my part, as well as the department's part in being able to describe and talk about the benefits to the organization as a whole. But I think that that's one of the big benefits, was the lowering of the departmental silos. And then as we got into it and we started gathering metrics, it's just really amazing that the more metrics you gather, the more things you uncover and want to gather additional metrics on. It's almost like peeling an onion. And so, yeah, on the surface, if you just think of personal property, as furniture, fixtures, and equipment, at a very high level, it seems very simple. But like I say, when you start peeling the onion back and looking at metrics as to like within each of those life cycle phases that I talked about, the amount of information that comes at you, it's really incredible.
Do you have departments saying, can you help us measure this? Or once the
all the time, and that's why I say coming to work, what I love about it, it's just opportunities day by day, because we have over 300 departments at University Health. And so sure, we'll get asked for assistance by one department more than others, but you just never know who's going to make that call or send you that email asking for assistance.
And you attribute your rolling out of ISO 55001 certification as opening up the phone lines and the communication channels for this type of interaction.
Yes, I do. And, anybody who's, I kind of had to smile a little bit when Dominic was talking, because one of the things that I think you have to just come to grips with is that you have to do a lot of writing when it comes to what your SAMP is and your process is. And so if you don't like to write, there's going to be a little bit of a problem, because when the auditors come in, they need to look at something, right? So I would say that the more you write, the more I like it anyway. And once your foundation is set, after that, it's just a matter of keeping up with what you're doing and keeping it current. But that initial SAMP and your initial processes and procedures have to be very, very detailed.
So Dominic, what are you looking at?
When we look at, as an organization, and assess an organization, we want to make sure that the employee base, one, understands, what their roles and responsibilities are. We like to understand, how their processes are working, what they're experiencing, right? And then also understand from them as a high level training activity, how they're continually improving as an organization or as a person. And then to really making sure that culturally the organization is really driving improvement within their organization structure. So, a lot of it has to do, we talk about the paperwork and the processes, but it's also when we're out there in the field, when we're speaking to the employee base and people within the organization, is really what their depth of understanding of what their roles and responsibilities are and how effective are they in those roles.
How do you select which people to talk to? Is it a random sampling, or do you have
That's a good question. It's a combination. We do like to randomly sample people out in the field. We like to look at people in different departments. Of course, we talk to the management rep or leadership. We ask them if there are any specific areas that they would like us to focus on. There might be areas of high risk that they want us to evaluate. So it's a combination of many things.
Excellent. Art, have you had staff randomly interviewed?
Well, the way it's worked with us is the auditor will send out like an initial audit plan, and they'll ask like how many employees are involved with the asset management system. And so even though it's a organizational wide thing, you can't put 10,000 people. So we just let them know on the audit plan who the key players are, the key departments, and then the auditor will then kind of formulate their plan around that. And so as you know, we have a asset management governance committee here at University Health that meet every quarter. So as we approach the audit time, by then everyone is well aware of what we do. Our SAMP is published for anyone to see on our intranet site. So as long as the key players know where to go for the information, that's really all that's required. The auditor doesn't expect them to just roll out ISO 55001 sections and off the top of their head. But as long as they know where to go to get the information, that's the important thing.
Excellent. So I had the honor of being able to visit ART this summer. I was a part of a ALN presentation at the Government Finance Officers Association in June, and I shot down to San Antonio for a day and got to see the robots that Dominic has talked about. It's really cool seeing R2-D2s running around and delivering things. I still don't understand how they know where to go and what's happening, but there's a lot of robotic delivery machines working at University Health.
I'd like to comment on that because this was when I first visited ART, and it was the exact same thing. I got to see all the robots on the floor delivering packages and medications to people. But then there was also an operating room for the robots to make sure that they're properly maintained and that they're working exceptionally well. I always found that to be it always stuck in my mind about the great quality of work that the ART and the University of Health is doing. And it's always stuck with me. So ART, great job. I have to tell you, it's been one of the more fascinating visits that I've had.
Well, thank you. And that's only going to get bigger because if you don't know, we're building a new women and children's hospital that's going to be part of University Health. It's a new 12th floor, 600 bed hospital, and the robots are going to be servicing them as well. And they operate 24/7 and they never complain about pay or anything else.
So was that something that was part of the certification process? How was that involved? Art, what did you put?
Well, it's still under construction. So it's supposed to be completed by next summer. Right now, it's the shell that's almost completed. And then that's where my part is going to be coming into serious play when we start equipping it with about $120 million worth of furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So part of my team's job is just to make sure that all that is accounted for, and not in the sense of accounting on the fixed asset register, but more of the physical sense that we received everything that we put out a purchase order for and paid for.
$120 million worth of personal property.
Yeah.
Does that include, so will there be operating rooms in that?
Absolutely.
So does that include those pieces of equipment?
Yes. But then too, you have to keep in mind with personal property, it's not like the building that's going to stand there for 40, 50 years. That personal property is going to cycle in and out and refresh. So, I mean, we may see, 4 or 5 different models of X-ray machines in those 40 years. And so the cost of personal property is just going to continue to climb as the building just depreciates.
So will your next recertification include the personal property in those buildings also, that building also?
Absolutely. I mean, right now we have probably close to 40 sites. We have across Bexar County, Texas. We have our outpatient clinics. We have administrative buildings. warehousing. We have all kinds of facilities throughout the county, and they're all included in the scope of our certification.
Seems incredible. Are you going to have more staff for your department?
Well, we're going to keep our fingers crossed. We have our initial 2023 budget proposal. We're going to ask for some more people. Yeah, but you know, you learn to become a lot more efficient when you're deprived of the staff that you may need. But we'll see what happens. We're going to go ahead and ask based on all this expansion that we're doing, and we're going to hope for the best.
Well, good luck there. In the time that we have remaining, I want to start by asking Dominic about recertification and what you've observed at University Health, and how does that relate to the other types of recertification you see? Is there anything that they do that others can learn from?
Well, I think it all starts with University Health's mission of providing you with the right care at the right time, all in your neighborhood. So, they're very focused on making sure that the equipment is operating effectively and how it impacts the people. So when you look at that, Art in the University Health culture, and I always talk about culture a lot as well, it's very focused on making sure that they're delivering exceptional services to people. And, organizations that implement the management system, whether it's ISO 55000 or any of the other programs, environment or aerospace, those organizations I find to be leaders in their industry to help drive performance, whether it's a service or a product that they're manufacturing, that they are meeting expectations or exceeding expectations. And they're also very focused on how their strategy is structured, that risk that they're identifying, and really making sure that they're a high-end organization. So, and it goes back to my start of this conversation, is trust out into the marketplaces that they're serving.
So Dominic and Art are going to be in Washington, D.C. on September 16th, and Art has agreed to provide personal property executive briefings to ALN members and supporters. Dominic, if people are interested in certification, I'm sure you would join. We've secured a private meeting room for those type of activities to occur. And Art, what would you say to, let's say we get another hospital to attend and get an executive briefing. Can you give a little taste of what you might say to them?
Well, I mean, hospitals, as a matter of fact, all large organizations have three things in common. They have the building, the facilities, they have the people, human resources, and then they have the tools that people need to do their jobs, or what I call personal property or stuff. And so with facilities, it's an umbrella that might cover plumbing, electrical, air conditioning, a whole host of things related to the facilities. With your human resources or the people, you have an umbrella that covers your benefits and your training and all kinds of things that are required for your people. So that component that's missing is for all the stuff. You do have biomedical departments that take care of the medical equipment. You have the IT department that takes care of IT equipment, and so on and so forth. But they're missing that overall umbrella department, like asset management, that can be that transparency between all the work that they do and senior leadership.
Well, Art, we thank you for bringing the personal property message to our members and our supporters, our audience, because there's a lot of focus on infrastructure, the building, roads and bridges, big things, and maintaining all the $120 million worth of things that goes into the building is really important. So thanks for bringing that message. And if there are people interested in these briefings, they do not have to be hospitals. They can be anybody who's interested in a better approach to their personal property. So reach out to Art or myself or Dominic to make those happen. And Dominic, thank you for your patronage and your enthusiasm, your contributions to the board of directors. Really appreciate your involvement.
I love being
And
part of it. Thank you.
well, we nailed it right on time. Nick?
Hey guys, just wanted to come in and thank again our patron members, especially ABS Quality Evaluations, as well as our other organizational members, including the Andrew James Advisory Group and the University Health, of course. And again, we have a new another course starting for the A55K Professional Certification, and that's October 24th. So if you're interested, reach out to the Andrew James Advisory Group. Lindsay Ziegler would be the main contact there, but reach out to us here and we can put you in touch. And then one more plug for the upcoming event, September 16th at the National Academy of Sciences. So please register now and maybe, reach out to Art and get talking about an executive briefing.
Thank you, everyone, and thanks to the audience for attending.
Thank
Bye
you,
for now.
everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.